Here we are at the Signs farm. So we got Joe here, my brother. I decided to do just a little video on chickens and stuff because he learned quite a bit about chickens. We have a friend that's wondering about how to take care of some chickens because she just got some and she's doing a chicken coop and stuff. So it's kind of what's sparked this. But Joe, kind of go through what you learned here.
All right, so we're still learning, but year one, welcome to Chicken City. Okay, so basically by the end, I will tell you that we'll probably set this up in a different way, but this was the progression that we've gone through. So we started with just this red coop, and this is like one of those standard ones that you get at, but we got it from a neighbor, and we hate it. So, and there's lots of reasons. We'll give you one. You can tell this is made out of, like, how thin this wood is. Can you tell there? Like, it's just all floppy, right? This provides zero insulation. It is drafty and it rots really quickly. And it's not like, we were over here, you can see this, we put this gutter up on top to direct the rain off of this hinge, because this was a hinge, but we locked it since. But the hinge was leaking water onto the chickens. Lame. So this is a piece of junk. But now we use it as like a Four Seasons porch for the chickens. So like during the day they come, and sometimes they lay eggs in it, which is fine, but they don't really sleep in it. And they sleep in the other chicken coop that we built. So basically it started as just this, and then we would let them free range, and we saw significant changes in their eggs when we would free range them. So when they're foraging off of the plants and the bugs and stuff in the yard, their eggs changed, and instead of just living off of the feed. So we went through a winter, and we're in Iowa, we have pretty bad winters, like they get really cold, and they were getting frostbite. And so we tried, I don't know if you can see in here, but there's like wood chips. You can go on that. There's wood chips that we have right now, or shavings or whatever. And but before, you can't do this in the winter, because what happens is that if they live in this on wood chips during the winter, they pee and poop on it, and then it freezes, and then they get frostbite from that. So then we figured out, okay, so it needs to be insulated, and then also we heard from somebody to use sand, but the sand needs to stay dry. But the sand helps, I guess, get some of the moisture away from them for somehow. I don't know. Anyway, I'll tell you what we do now, but it's a little bit different. Anyway, so in there, we had a terrible winter. They stopped laying eggs, but they got through it. No, none of them died, but it was it was terrible going through a winter with this. So then when we got through that winter, we built this coop.
So basically, I just want to recap of, you're thinking about insulation problem, keeping their feet dry. So you don't need a heater, even in like negative 40 degrees. You don't need a heater in there. Their feathers are enough. It just has to be. You cannot have drafts. It has to stay dry. And and then they'll be totally fine even without a heater. And so because you're saying with the heater
they get dependent on it, and they get kind of weak. That's what they get kind of, anyway, point is they kind of need to be just it's natural weather, so that they adapt to that, as opposed to always having a heater in there, and then they don't adapt as well. So point is, dry and no drafts. That's the key. So, and well, and insulated will help with the drafts or whatever. But that is just, there's no insulation, so that means it was just wherever. So basically, you just need still air in the winter, so there's nothing pushing. So it's not pushing the heat out that they generate naturally. And that, so I would never buy one of these again. I would just always build your own, because it's just made out of the cheapest flame. I think it's just for looks, to look cute or something. I don't know. It's dumb.
Well, I'm thinking if I got something free, if you have those principles that you're talking about, the concepts, then you might be able to modify and retrofit something.
Yeah.
If you just understand it.
It's just hard to, like, you'd have to, it's almost like, yeah, if you got it for free, I would build around it, you know, or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we still use it, but we use it during the day. Meaning when they come out, we have an automatic door. That's their biggest expense that we've had, but it's been worth it because it's called an omelet. And you can switch it to, you know, close at 2100 hours, so at 9 o'clock. And anyway, point is, and you can connect a light in there inside. We have one, but we don't have it turned on. But anyway, that has been amazing, because then they can come out, and because we would have to.
So what are the basic needs of getting out and in? Why?
So if they're just cooped up inside the coop constantly, they get really restless. They want to forage, they want to search for stuff, and they just get like, anyway, point is, they're not as happy. And so, meaning, like, you can kind of see their attitude and all that stuff, like.
But basically, you just need to let them out in the morning, and then
they put themselves to bed at night, and then
at dusk they go back in.
At dusk they go to bed. So we stopped letting them free range because one of our chickens got taken by a fox. So the foxes learned that there were chickens here. For a year we would let them free range and nothing ever happened, but finally one got taken. So we sometimes let them out during the day, like we did for today, for like 2 hours in the morning, and they were just out foraging. So, but we entice them back in with like a bag of worms, and so we get them back in, shut them, and then we can go about our day, and it's fine. Anyway, the other key thing is that we feed them our food scraps, and you can see it from here. You maybe go around there.
Right, yeah.
Well, there's some. That's
oatmeal.
Some oatmeal, and then there's like some,
okay.
Yeah, some of our vegetables and eggs, you know, old eggs or whatever.
It's like a casserole.
Carrots. Yeah. So they like, again, they're.
So basically, your scraps don't go to waste. They turn them into eggs.
Yeah, they turn them into eggs, and it's been amazing. Like,
your kids don't want to eat their vegetables, and they're like, "Well, we'll turn them into eggs."
Yeah, so I don't feel as bad, because it's kind of like, hey, we just scrape off everything into the bucket, and every day we just empty it out here, and so they are happier. Our eggs got way better too. Like, you can tell a big difference. Anyway, point is, let's see. Let's go back to. So then we built.
So this is your ultimate one after you.
Ultimate, kind of. I would still build it different, but I had a wood shed that I made. Just this kind of. But this used to be just open, and I would put wood in there. But we converted it into a chicken coop. We just found a bunch of barn wood. Barry helped us find barn wood, and then so this is kind of the coop. So we use now for the stuff on the ground, it's old coffee grounds, but it's coffee grounds, you can kind of smell it.
Yeah.
But it's coffee grounds without caffeine in it. Like, that, because caffeine is toxic for them. So you can buy these big bags of coffee grounds that caffeine has been extracted or something like that. Like, so I don't know. Bethany figured that out. Anyway, so here are some key things. The feeder is really, you'll find that it's very annoying that has been the best solution, is that the feeder is up high. It's not on the ground. It's high enough for them to peck in it, and that's it. Because if you put the feeder on the ground, they jump on it. They want to be jumping on everything, and then they start pooping in their own food. And that was super annoying. We couldn't, or they spill it, or so many things. This has been the best solution so far, is we screwed it into the door, or you can screw it into the wall, and it's just high enough for them to peck in it, but that's it. They don't get on it and poop on it anymore. And here's the other key thing, has been that water. The water has been an issue because they do the same thing. They'll get in the bowl or whatever, wherever you have water, and they jump in it, poop in it, all that stuff. So we found a water feeder thing where they just peck at this and water comes out. That's been the best. And it's heated. It's heated so it doesn't freeze up in the winter time. And those rungs are also important. They're gonna want to come out. Those rungs are important because they like to perch, and that's what they sleep on, those perches. And then, whoop, you're not coming out right now. So those rungs are important because they sleep on those. And what we were finding before was we didn't have that before, and they were sitting and pooping where they were sleeping, and so it was getting really, really messy. So if you have those perches, they sleep on that, and they just poop, and it goes on the floor into the coffee grounds or whatever. And then occasionally, like and it's once a month or something, we clean out the floor.
That's something I didn't realize, is that they like sitting on those perches.
Yeah, they always like getting up onto stuff.
Yeah,
and so they want to, because I think it's a safety thing, because they can see and they have somewhere to go if danger comes or whatever. So
yeah.
Point is, it's a whole thing, but and we can, I don't know, well, you can probably see it from here. Well, maybe not.
It's like they had a pizza party.
Yep. Pizza. So the other thing is I put insulation in there, and we made on the top of the insulation. I didn't go all the way up with the insulation, but I used that, like, maybe you can see it, I don't know. They use it in RVs and stuff like that. It's that silver insulation.
Oh, the bubble
insulation.
Yeah, Reflectix.
Yeah, Reflectix stuff. That has been really good. So this past winter, we went through with this one, and they laid eggs totally normally all the way through the winter, and we didn't have a heater in there, and it was like -40 and all that stuff. So when they're laying eggs, that means they're happy. They have everything that they need.
Yeah.
And so I had several friends that say, "Yo, yeah, mine stopped laying eggs all the way through winter," when in reality they were just trying to survive. And so what you do is, if you get everything right in their coop, they'll lay through the winter too. So, but then it's in the winter, you just have to make sure you collect the eggs regularly, like in the morning or whatever, because they'll freeze pretty fast. So but that's it. Otherwise, so they all laid all the way through the winter, and we had the eggs, so which was great. That's what we were hoping. Other than, we've had a bunch of lessons along the way. I mean, we had a rooster, our first, the group, we had a rooster, and it was getting really aggressive, so it perished. And then it was chasing our daughter and our neighbor kids and stuff like that. So it was just it was time to go. It did change the relationship with the chickens, which was interesting. One chicken that was dependent on the rooster a lot. When the rooster went away, it changed the dynamic of the hens, and they were their who they would always be with changed, and there was one that was very dependent on the rooster that was sequestered after, and it molted, meaning it changed its feathers or whatever, and then never really got the feathers back fully for a really long time, and eventually just walked away. Like it was gone. It left. Like we were letting them free range. We came back and it just wasn't around. And anyway, point is, it's just interesting how those dynamics work with all the chickens and their if you have a rooster when they grow up. So I don't know. I would if I had a farm, we weren't close to people, I would probably still continue to have a rooster, because they're really good for the health of everybody, the safety, and keeps the lookout and all that stuff, and it's really good. So, and there's more to it too. I'm not a professional at it. This is just my experience in this past 2 years. So take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, I think so. Then another idea we've had, or somebody else has done, is made a mobile chicken run, where they just made a triangle cage that had wheels on it that they could just pull with their mower to different areas of their grass. If you want a free range but with safety, you just have to remember to take them back at night in. I have seen people do that. Because free range is really good, meaning just out in your yard. These are, I guess, still considered free range. I don't know.
Because they eat bugs and mice and everything.
That was one of the coolest things. It's like, I did not know they ate mice. But one day we were just literally right here doing something, and we heard this fluttering and all this action happen. We looked over. One of them had jumped off the deck and was doing something on the ground, and it looked up like this, and it had a mouse out of its beak. We were like, what? You catch mice? And they were all chasing each other, ripping it apart. It was amazing. I was like, yes, that was the most satisfying thing, seeing them eat mice from our yard. Trying to think what else is...
Well, that's pretty good info. I mean, I know I haven't done this before, so I don't know a lot of stuff, but if somebody's getting started, they can at least get through some of the learning curve that you already went through.
Yeah.
And then those basic things like installation, keeping dry, and a perch, and the water, and the food.
Yeah, and they're little. There's boxes that we have for them to lay eggs. I still want to do that better, and a better and an easier retrieval system, but we'll figure that out later. But we have figured out the basics enough for them to be happy through all temperatures, and that automatic door has been amazing. I would invest in that. If you're considering chickens for the long haul, I would get a nice door, not like the one. I tried a different door. It was like on eBay, and it's like an automatic door. It's like $20 or something, and it never worked. It would get caught. It would it was a piece of junk. So we went with the more expensive one, and we haven't looked back since, because now they are always in there and safe, and because we would have to remember every single night to come out, and because we had just a manual door we would shut, and some nights it was super hard to remember, or all that stuff. So that, for our lifestyle, that automatic door was probably the best thing. Obviously that and the wood to build your chicken coop are going to be the major costs, and then each month it depends on you. I mean, some people don't buy feed at all, and they survive on the scraps that the family feeds them, so it could happen like that too. And then we buy a bag of worms. Maybe it's like $10, and they last, I don't know how long. It depends on how much you give them, but those worms, some people grow their own worms, and so you can get those for free, but those are a really good snack for the chickens. That also you can use that to help to coax them back in. Like, we just shake the bag and they come running, and then we just dump some in there, they go back in, because otherwise it's really hard to get them to come back in the coop before sundown. If it's sundown, they'll go in naturally, but if you don't want them out all day. So there's a lot of little things like that, but the key thing is keeping them. Yeah, the shelter is key in keeping it dry and no drafts, and that was one of our biggest learning curves, was that. And these chicken coops that are made out of flimsy wood don't do that. They don't do those basic things. So I wouldn't get one of these again, or I would just make sure that I had to, like, when I was putting in some sand and stuff, I had to support it underneath because it was too heavy, because they were just, you know, the manufacturer thought, oh, they're just going to put wood chips, and so it was super flimsy. So just stuff like that. That's like, yeah, it's either retrofitting or just build a basic one and find wood, barn wood or something like that, which is actually better than the wood that you would buy at a store anyway. See, this one just jumped up. They just like to perch. They like to escape. They have been escaping. Just 2 of them. The other ones haven't figured it out or something. And they get through, and we find them out or whatever. And so I'm literally going to set up I have a security camera that I'm just going to set up and watch where they're escaping, because we have not been able to find where they escaped from. Like, we thought it was up here, but I don't think so, because we don't see feathers or anything in there. And anyway, so we got to figure that out. But there's always we got to figure it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we've hit a point of where where it's kind of going on its own without, you know, we have to come out here daily, but it's very quick, you know, collecting the eggs and making sure they have water and food and stuff like that, and then we don't really think about it.
Okay, anything else?
I don't know, but if the number one thing to me is, if you haven't lived on a farm, it's just a mentality shift. It just has to become part of your life. Meaning, I've got to go out there every day. If that's not, you know, if it's going to be fun and cute for your kids, that won't last very long. That will last a week or two, and it's fun and cute, but then it starts to become not fun and cute. So if you have it's just the mentality thing of, this is just part of our life now, as opposed to something on the side. You know, it is something that's on the side for us, but we consider it more part of our family, our lifestyle, versus just something to add on. But I've seen it before. I've seen several families do it, and they got rid of them after, you know, a few months or whatever.
Well, you started telling me the benefits that you started having, like the scraps and the eggs and all those things that were like, oh, this is actually really beneficial. It tastes better.
Yeah. So that was the benefits that we started was, it's like we didn't feed them our scraps before, and then we started to, and then that became we have now a dedicated bucket in our house, and then our family got the habit of scraping our leftovers into that bucket. I mean, stuff that, you know, we weren't going to eat. And so once that became a habit, and then, you know, it has to just be integrated into your family, into your habits, and then it becomes very beneficial. And then we're getting these eggs back. I mean, my cooking changed, because I love cooking, and you'll notice, like, your food is different. Like cooking your omelets, you're like making a custard. It's just richer, and so you just get these really awesome eggs. And then some of them, like, there's a big brown chicken that we have, and the eggs are this big, and the white, and there's another one that eggs are kind of like this big. It's just funny, like, how it's cool to have all that, and we have an excess of eggs. Now we have like three dozen at least eggs just sitting there. And if you don't wash them, you can just leave them there for a long time without refrigerating them, and they're preserved. And so,
I'm thinking that especially today with the egg apocalypse, or the
Yeah,
egg problem, you know?
Yeah, and so someone asked me, they're like, well, how much does that save you? Because I can go, even if I go get a carton of eggs for $5, which is expensive. And I'm like, well, you also have to, this isn't about saving money. This is about self-reliance.
All right, there you go.
So it's more of like, if someone was looking for a dollar for dollar exchange, it's cheaper to go buy them at the store, of course. But I am assured that I will have eggs all the time because I am doing it. The store, you are beholden to the store. So if something happens, like there's a giant fire, this happened, there's disease that spreads through chickens in the big farms, and there's, there was a giant fire at the blah, blah, blah. And so then eggs, were not, you couldn't find them. But so this is just insurance against times like that. So it's basically just a self-reliance thing, as opposed to, oh, cool, I'm saving money. No, I'm just becoming more self-reliant.
Yeah, I'm always a supporter in that type of concept of being self-reliant, and this is just one example of it. And so I'm excited that more people are getting interested in it and starting to do things on their own, becoming more localized instead of on all subjects of our lives, becoming more localized. And so that's why I want to support people doing this stuff. So is that it, Joe?
Yeah, and you can feed them the old egg shells that we use.
Oh, right.
You can just toss them back in with their food, and they eat those egg shells, and that just goes back into producing more shells. Because you either have to buy, like, what are those called? Not like oyster shells, some kind of seashells or whatever. Can't remember what they're called, but anyway, they need the calcium and to make, and you'll see sometimes, like when they're running low, the eggs, like we found one that was like a soft egg, and it's just they weren't getting enough of that mineral. So we throw their egg shells back in, and they just eat them back up, or you get those shells or whatever. So there's just lots of little things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, my wife had to, they'll get we have this white chicken that's crazy. Her name's Antonina. She does the smaller eggs, but she likes to jump on everything, and she injured her foot, and so we had to learn, how to sanitize it, wrap it up, and keep it dry, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's just little things like that can be frustrating, or you can spend a ton of money going to the vet. So it's like, which one do you choose? But she seems to be doing better now. Oh, another thing is dust baths. So we kind of created one under there, but then when we let them out, they all run straight over here into this corner, and they take a dust bath. And so they sit down in it, and they shake all the dirt all over them and stuff like that, and that helps them keep clean, if that makes sense.
So
anyway,
funny.
but they love it.
Okay.
But they absolutely love it. They all run over here and do that, and so obviously they need that. So we also have used, you can use ash from like a fireplace. So in their coop, you can spread some ash. That one, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you can. Anyway, point is, if you have a fireplace, we have a fireplace, and we have all these buckets of ash during the winter and stuff, and so they can use that, because it's hard to find a dust bath during the winter because of all the snow. Anyway, lots of little tips
and tricks. Okay, everybody, good luck, Erica. Hope this helps.